of the Public Service Commission. I'm accompanied by members of the PSC staff. Also with me is an attorney from the Public Service Commission, Mr. Jeff Penny. We are here for the purpose of taking public comment on the application of Unity Towers and new Cingular Wireless doing business as AT&T Mobility to construct a 317-foot tall wireless communication tower in Pulaski County at 240 Happy Ridge Road, Nancy, Kentucky. The case number of this matter is 2020-00310. This meeting is being held pursuant to Kentucky Revised Statute 278-655. The purpose of this meeting is to hear from members of the public who wish to comment on the AT&T Mobility proposal. The Commission understands that this proposed tower has generated some interest, and we also recognize that this can be an emotional issue. We trust that everyone here this evening will present their opinions in a respectful manner and respect the right of others to be heard. Please let me explain how we will proceed tonight. Those of you wishing to speak should have indicated your intention to do so when you signed in this evening. If you have not signed in, please do so. Based on the number of people who have indicated a desire to speak, we are going to allow 6 minutes per speaker so that everyone has an opportunity to be heard. I will let you know when you have 1 minute remaining and also let you know when your time is up. At 1 minute, I will raise this card. Those of you who do not wish to speak tonight may submit comments in writing. Instructions on how to submit comments to the Commission are available where you signed in. You may also find information on how to provide public comments on this case at the Public Service Commission's website, psc.ky.gov. Anytime you provide comments on this case, we just ask that you identify yourself with your name, your address, and the case number, which in this matter is 2020-00310. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted to the Commission's website and placed in the case record of this matter. A summary of the public comments will be prepared for the Public Service Commission and become part of the case record as well. All written comments will also be entered into the case record. Two important things to keep in mind before we begin. Because the Public Service Commission acts in a quasi-judicial capacity and the Commission must rule on AT&T Mobility's application, I cannot answer questions pertaining to the substance of this case. However, questions you raise during this meeting may well be of assistance to me and my colleagues as the Commission reviews this application. Further, PSC staff will be available after the public comments are concluded to answer any questions you may have regarding procedural matters in this case. The Public Service Commission can consider only comments on matters that are before it and that it has the authority to review. The principal issue before the Public Service Commission in this matter is whether the construction of the proposed tower is a matter of public convenience and necessity. The Commission has no authority over environmental matters or issues relating to radio wave emissions or whether they involve private or public lands. Therefore, I would encourage you to focus your comments on issues that are currently before the Commission. Comments on matters falling outside the Commission's authority cannot be considered by the Commission as it reaches its decision in this case. When you come up to speak, please state your name and address. Again, please keep your comments to the allotted time so that others may have an opportunity to address the Commission. As a reminder, we'll be limiting comments tonight to 6 minutes per speaker. I have a list of folks who have signed up to speak, and we'll go in the order in which those individuals signed in tonight. The first is Tia Combs. Ms. Combs, you here?
Thank you for having this meeting and for allowing the community and other interested parties to speak on this matter. As previously stated, my name is Tia Combs and I'm counsel for SBA Infrastructure, LLC. My address is 2525 Harrodsburg Road, Suite 500, Lexington, Kentucky, 40504. I'm here tonight to represent SBA Infrastructure because SBA owns a tower that's less than 1/10 of a mile from the new proposed tower. Our tower is 340 feet tall, and AT&T is currently a tenant on the tower and has been since 2006. SBA has previously filed a pretty voluminous record in this matter, and I'll try not to retread too much here. But I do want to make some comments concerning some of the things that the PSC has previously intimated to SBA that they found important. In particular, the PSC has told us in their orders that the most important things are service and rates. So I'll speak about those here tonight. First, service. In their application, AT&T didn't really specifically address how service would be improved by this new tower. They simply recited that no other reasonable place was readily available to put their equipment, which seemed odd to us at SBA, since AT&T is presently on our tower that's less than 1/10 of a mile away. In addition, our tower is approximately 20 feet higher than the proposed tower. We've already filed in the record a coverage plot analysis showing the radio frequencies that can be broadcast off our tower and off the newly proposed tower. And I encourage the PSC to take a look at those coverage plots because they show that precisely the same frequencies can be broadcast off both towers in almost the same effectiveness. In fact, it's a matter of logic. Two towers that are nearly the same height, that are less than 1/10 of a mile away from each other, obviously can't allow radio waves to be broadcast in any different manner. So it really doesn't even make sense to believe that additional or better service could be provided by the building of a new tower. Instead, all a new tower could possibly accomplish is an unnecessary visual obstruction and the fact of having a new tower. In addition, the PSC has said that it's very interested in rates. And I also find rates to be a very interesting topic in this matter. For example, I reviewed all the pleadings and other items filed by AT&T and Unity in this matter, and I've yet to see any promise that building this new tower and moving AT&T's current equipment to the new tower will provide better rates as far as cell phone service to the citizens of Pulaski County. Perhaps that's a question AT&T can answer for us as time goes on. Much of the conflict between AT&T and SBA in this matter has gone to tower rent rates. So I just want to make sure that the Public Service Commission has reviewed the comment by SBA, which states that our company is willing to match the rental rates that Unity will provide AT&T less $10. It's our opinion that this eliminates the problems that AT&T states that it is having in many of its filings with the rental rates by SBA. Simply, now that we are offering to match the rate minus $10, as it states in our filings, rents are no longer an issue. And frankly, prior to filing this application, AT&T made only really the most generic overtures at trying to negotiate rental rates with us. For example, AT&T did not contact our local site manager, which is the usual way that these two parties connect with each other on service or rates issues. But once again, we have offered to match the rate less $10, so rent should no longer be a big issue in this matter. And as my final comment, I will just say that SBA believes that AT&T's application in this matter should be denied because it simply does not meet, at this juncture, the requirements set forth in the Kentucky statutes and regulations. A new tower is simply going to be a duplicative effort and perhaps a convenience for AT&T, but it certainly won't be a matter of public convenience or necessity. Thank you.
please, before you begin, state your name and address, and you'll have 6 minutes, sir.
Doug Rogers, 626 Happy Ridge Road, Nancy. I would like to ask someone could define shortly and briefly how a cell phone tower works actually. Would I address that to you? You?
It'd have to be the AT&T representatives. They'd be the ones who can answer that. But after the public comments, you can ask those questions to them.
Well, I have a point to all this. If somebody could, they work on line of sight, right? You got a cell tower here and a cell tower here. They work on line of sight, right? Or they bounce off the atmosphere.
So I'll stop your time for the benefit of so we're just able to take public comment. We can't interact back and forth, answer questions. So if you have a comment that you'd like to provide, if you'd like to, say if it does this, then this, that, but we can't.
Okay.
But this isn't an opportunity to necessarily go back and forth. It's just an opportunity for folks without having to travel outside the county to provide their own comments on the case. So if you want to proceed,
I'll just make the comments, and if they're wrong, they're wrong, and if they're right, they'll be right. Okay, it's my understanding they work on line of sight. So like from here to there, So if it works on line of sight, why not stick it on Green River Knob somewhere, on the highest mountain somewhere? And that's obsolete or somewhere that's not readily accessible. And I think the reason that is because, in a residential neighborhood, you have a nice blacktop road, you have water, you have electric right there. And so it is more convenient to build a tower in a residential neighborhood than off on a mountain somewhere that you have to build a road a mile to get to. And our good friends, the Moldens, good people, they've got property down the road, plenty of land, a couple miles away. I think I mentioned that in the letter. And I think I was told that apparently this little 500-foot circle is a hotspot where this tower is supposed to be, apparently a hotspot. I don't understand all that, but if they work off line of sight, why would it matter where a tower is? And then it just, for me, it's the visual. I already got one to look at. I don't want to look at another one. And anyway, that's basically my comments.
thank you, Mr. Rowe. The next person that we have to sign up is Monty Wells. Monty Wells, please come forward. I want you to state your name and address, and then you'll have 6 minutes, and I'll give you one of these when you've gone through 5. Please proceed.
Monty Wells, address 359 Raleigh Road, Somerset, Kentucky. Also property owner, 1891 Highway 2993, Nancy, which is adjacent to the road. We lived down there until about 2 years ago. We moved to Cingular, where I pastor a church there. I'm also senior electrician for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Wolf Creek Power Plant. I do have some knowledge of cell towers. And I have worked on cell towers, but I've installed cell repeaters in our project. I know we do have hotter spots than others. And I do know that as a vested interest in this family, Gladys Molden, who owns the property, is my mother-in-law, my wife, my brother-in-law. So we are vested as a family in knowledge of this property also on Happy Ridge. But I do know that this area was declared to us as a hot spot. I do know a few years ago, another family member was approached for his property that was nearby, but declined a tower, which is actually, if I'm understanding right, is the tower that's just a 10th of a mile away. So another thing as well that I believe is they see a need for this other tower for expansion of coverage. You can only put so many antennas on one antenna tower. We have a tower at Wolf Creek. I worked on that tower. We removed the microwave dish off that tower. But I'll say that if there's concern about the wavelengths that are being produced off of these towers, I'll say that the microwave in your house, the cell phone in your pocket is going to generate more to your body than that tower will outdoors, as we understand it at this time. So that's public record to look at that way. They will say your microwave generates more stray radiation than this tower will generate. So I do not see it being a problem. For other neighbors that oppose this tower, they had opportunity to oppose the tower that exists 1/10 of a mile away before. They set precedents, and they did not raise any issues with this tower, to my knowledge. That's just to my knowledge. They had an opportunity to resist the placement of this previous tower, to my knowledge. Many did not. So, just to my knowledge of this, that's my understanding. I do not live in the neighborhood. I've hunted on that property, helped with hay, and helped a little bit with farming on that to some degree, but I'm knowledgeable of the property. I know the property. I walked over that property last year when they had this staked off for this to be done. So that's about the extent of what I have to say. But I am in favor of this tower. I have nothing in opposition to this tower. And I will say my mother-in-law was willing to share with any benefit of this tower with her son and daughter, which is now wife. So besides that, it's not what I would have thought. It's not an exorbitant amount. There's people in the neighborhood who was concerned, well, how much are you getting paid? Honestly, it's not their business. If they were approached with a tower, they would probably tell us the same thing. You know, if somebody doesn't want to look at the tower, they may not want to look at that tower unless it was in their backyard. You know, there's things I don't want in my backyard. I understand other people don't want things in their backyard. A few years ago, they used to call it NIMBY, not in my backyard. That was the acronym they used to use. You know, I work for the federal government. I realize there's things I don't like about the federal government. Other people don't like things about the federal government in getting in their business. But as individuals, we have the liberty and freedom to express what we want to do with our property, with our vested interest. They're not the one vested in that property. If someone wants to come to them and invest infrastructure in their property, that's their business. And there's an opportunity to have a public forum in this matter, in that situation. Thank you.
The next person is Charlotte Wells.
She'll just write in comment and climate speak, she said.
And if you need information on how to provide that comment, please see us afterwards. John Burton.
John Wayne Burton, Highway 2993-757, Mason, Kentucky, 42544.
Please proceed.
My concern is like what he said, those microwaves and all that stuff, radiation. I spent, let's say, 27 years in the military and dealt with radiation. That's something that don't go away. It always stays in your body. No matter, radiation is something that you can't get rid of. It accumulates. And of course, I talked to Terry the other day. He said, these are all my neighbors, and they're good friends, and I love them all. I ain't got nothing against them. But I asked him, I said, common courtesy would he went a long way. Early on, if he'd come around and started talking about this before he put that tower up. And even if it goes up, you know, that's just another one of those things that happen. But I called Mr. Pack here, his office, and tried to get information on the amount of radiation that comes off those towers, and they didn't know. And I asked him to give me somebody where I could get that information. I never did get it. Of course, I thought when they took the sign down, it was all over. And my understanding was Terry had signed a contract with these people in order for them to be able to broadcast this the way they do. But anyway, I told him it was strictly up to him on all this before it started. Common courtesy, then he come back at me because I'm right next to that. That's within my place. Is all around that 500-foot deal he's talking about there, on those microwaves and all that stuff. I asked Terry, he said something about me that he didn't say that we have chemicals being sprayed on my property, that I got leased a leaser. And I told him he had, if my water was coming off, the runoff was getting into his well down there, I would definitely stop the lease immediately. Because I said, I'm not for hurting nobody. I want to do the right thing. And I said, if it's getting in your well, you get me have that water tested, and I'll stop the lease on that farm immediately. But anyway, Terry told me he didn't feel like he had to ask nobody, and he didn't have many friends, and he's always been a good friend to me, and I've not had no problem. I love always been. He got some real good local people back here. But I never could get any information from through the AT&T or who it was for all the microwaves that comes off that tower. Nobody gave me anything, and I've asked for it time and time again on it. And my concern is that being within that 500-foot range of all it comes over right into my house. I looked at that when they sent that survey out of all that diagram, and I thought, man, I don't want this stuff on top of my house. And that's when I told Terry common courtesy went a long way. And about putting these things up and making your neighbors mad over here, or not mad, maybe dissatisfied with a lot of stuff. But a tower, it's just right in my backside, it'd be sticking right over there in the field. My property is just as much as valuable as his property. But like I said, common courtesy would have went a long way early on if he'd come around and talked to all of his neighbors about putting up this tower before he signed that contract on that. So I'm concerned with cancer nowadays the way it is as much as anybody. And I know them towers are cancer producing products. And I told the people that I was talking to, if they could put that tower 2,000 foot away from my property, so be it. At least those rays would be farther back, less spin, instead of being right on top of it. But anyway, I appreciate you all. Like I said, Mr. Pack, whatever information got out of him, but I'm courteous of, about talking to him, but I got no valuable information from Mr. Pack when I talked to him up there. But that's about all I have. Like I said, my neighbors are good neighbors. I like Terry. I've got nothing wrong with them. I love them all. But that's what the Bible tells us to do. We're supposed to have any bad feelings. I'm going to turn my minutes back over to anybody else that wants to use it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burton. And I think the next thing was, William Burton.
Good afternoon, my name is William Burton. I live on 975 Hackman Ridge Road in Nancy, Kentucky, 42544. I'm also joining and looking out and seeing tires in my view. I drive the school bus for the Placer County Transportation Department, and if you'll take a ride out to the country and see the other tire, how they keep it cleaned up around there, that's a negative. They're supposed to keep the weeds out. If a property owner's going to keep the property, get service from the tires or et cetera, there's need to keep the property cleaned up. It's a sore to my kids that rides the bus and any other bus that comes up and down the road. Also, Clatsop County Court would not issue me license to my business up on top of the hill, and I don't know why in the world you guys got a license to issue up there. That is a big concern because it's a residential road, it's not a commercial road. If you put another tire out there, it becomes a commercial road. And the one out there is making it a commercial road. So you need to come justify, like it's all individually, if we're going to be property owners, we share it into the tire, okay? Even though it does put out chemical beta rays and stuff like that, we're aware of it. I go through the VA up there, they also said that I'm radiation poison. I got a sin of it partially in my system due to Vietnam, et cetera, et cetera. So you guys want to put it up there to keep the liability going, send me an insurance form, I'll sign it. Thank you. That's all I need.
Thank you, Mr. Burton. Mr. Burton, did you say 975? Is that right?
Correct.
Thank you. The next person, I'm sorry if mispronounced this, I believe it's Monty Wells.
Yeah, that's me.
I apologize.
It's all right. My name's Monty Wells, and I live at 359 Raleigh Road in Somerset, Kentucky. And I've done a little research on towers, cell phone towers, and 5G and things. And I seen that there was a study done by the American Cancer Society, and they studied the effects of towers, and they studied the effects of radiation produced by a cell phone. And they found that there was no harmful effects from a tower and the phone in your pocket and in your hand and having it close to your face and head. That produced more of a problem than a cell phone tower did. So you have constant use of that all the time in your hands, on your person. So I wouldn't consider it a problem. And since it's on persons on private land, I don't consider it a neighbor's business until that landowner wants to do with their land. And I give my time to family. Thank you.
And I believe it's the last person we had to sign up was, I believe, Carrie Molder.
My name is Terry Molden.
Molden, excuse me, I'm sorry.
I live at 925 Highway 2993, Nancy, Kentucky.
Please proceed.
Okay, I'm in favor of the tower, or cell services as good as I'd like them to be. And I personally have interest in the land that's been built on. And, like I told Mr. Burton the other day when he called, I thought it was our business, not everybody else's. But that's the way I feel about it. And I was told by a guy that worked for Kentucky Utilities that microwave in their house, if you stand in front of it while it's working, it puts up more radiation than a cell tower would, or electric lines or whatever. So I'm in favor of it. I think it's a good thing for the community.
Thank you. So that is everybody who signed up ahead of time in order to provide public comments. Is there anyone that did not sign up to provide public comments but would like to do so now? Okay. With that being the case, before we end, I would just like to remind everyone, including Ms. Wells, if you'd like to provide a public comment on this case, you can again do so. We have information here on how to provide written comments. You can find instructions on how to provide comments on cases at the Public Service Commission website, which is psc.ky.gov, or you can email public comments to the Public Service Commission to the following address, psced@ky.gov. We just ask that as you provide public comments, that you state your first and last name, your address, and the case number of the matter, which in this case is 2020-00310. I'd like to thank everybody for coming this evening and sharing your views with us. I appreciate the respect and courtesy you've shown. Public Service Commission staff and AT&T Mobility representatives are available after this comment session to meet informally and answer the questions that you may have. Again, Public Service Commission staff can only answer procedural questions and not substantive ones. Again, thank you all for coming. Please have a good evening.